Chapter 1. Inside the police station, people were walking around. Both the officers handling cases and solving problems for those in need made the last hours of the day seem busier than usual. Besides having to wait for the new inspector, there was also a fight at the station. "You're the one who took my stuff." "What the hell? I said I didn't take it." "Did you get drunk and misplace it yourself?" "Damn you, You're the evil one." The sound of shouting and cursing continued until an officer had to step in to stop it. "Both of you, calm down first. If something happened, report it to the authorities. There will be mediation and further investigation." "Calm down? How can I stay calm? Hundreds of thousands of dollars are missing. Did you get drunk and misplace it yourself, you stupid bastard?" The chubby man was about to act, but I turned away because I was tired of arguing. I didn't even notice that the person who was once his close friend now ran to grab scissors and held his shirt with an outstretched arm, hoping to save his life this time. "Damn it, Mew!" Before he could even strike with the tip of the knife, his abdomen was kicked with such force that he doubled over, his weak hands dropping the scissors. He then knelt on the ground, clutching his stomach. "Wouldn't it be better to talk nicely?" A soft, deep voice caught everyone's attention. They turned to look at a tall, slender young man. His jet-black hair was combed back, revealing an oval face with a sharp jawline and smooth honey-colored skin paired with sharp brown eyes. His nose bridge was prominent, with full lips. He wore a white shirt and a black suit, looking perfect in every way. "Are you going to stab me, you damn friend? Don't just stand there!" The chubby man crouched and grabbed the scissors angrily. But he groaned when his palm was crushed by a black sneaker stomping on it with full force. The man was about 188 centimeters tall, with beautiful tan skin and sharp eyes as dark as night. His sharp face and furrowed brows showed unease, and he held a paper coffee cup in his mouth. His messy hair, tight black shirt, and jacket indicated he didn't need a uniform like everyone else. "Captain," an officer standing helplessly immediately greeted the newcomer. The person known as the station captain kicked the wrist of the man about to pick up the scissors, then kicked the sharp object away from the two perpetrators in frustration. "I just went out to buy a cup of coffee. These two were fighting over the missing 100,000 baht. The complainant reported that his friend stole it because they were drinking together last night, but when he woke up in the morning, the money was gone." "Isn't that 100,000 baht in the back of the car?" "Ah, what?" "Probably because I accidentally overheard this man on the phone talking about trying to scam him out of 100,000 baht. Jade gave an irritating smile to the person who asked. Earlier, he had gone out to buy coffee. Then, he accidentally overheard a man kneeling on the ground talking on the phone. It wouldn't have been interesting if the conversation wasn't about scamming someone. The victim, asleep in the driver's seat, didn't wake up and knew nothing. He noticed the bag of money because the car was parked right next to his. "Hey, I don't know. He's drunk. Wait for him to return the 100,000 and then flee to another province. I'll talk about the content you mentioned. Is it okay to make a phone call?" His impatient attitude and words were good evidence that everyone noticed. "Do you want to report it?" "Report it. I'll definitely put you in jail, you bastard." Jade smiled at both of them before nodding to his subordinates to continue. As for him, he turned and smiled at the people who were also there. "And you? Did you come to report a crime, or do you have some errand?" "I'm here to work." Jade looked the person in front of him up and down. This kind of attitude. "Come on, I'll take you to the room." Jade led the way to the upstairs room, which had been cleaned and organized but still seemed empty because no one dared to redecorate it, fearing he wouldn't like it and would criticize them. "I'm Jade Charawat, the boss here." "I'm Kamin." Jade observed the back under the white shirt of the person who entered to inspect different areas. Based on his attitude and way of speaking, he wasn't sure if he'd be arrogant and pretentious. If so, working together might be difficult, as Jade didn't like that type of person. "Do you want an ID badge right away, or is the room too small?" Jade tested with a question. Kamin, who heard this, sighed before turning to look with a respectful gaze. "If I say it's too small, do you have another room for me? If you plan to just sit and work at a desk, I think this room will be enough." "Then what size room does an unemployed commander need to be here talking to me?" Jade smiled with satisfaction because that answer matched his arrogant face. Kamin leaned on the desk before looking at the man in front of him. The provocative attitude and disheveled appearance didn't seem like someone easy to work with, but his subordinates downstairs probably respected and obeyed his orders, as seen in the incident below. So, he decided to stay. Kamin thought the best way to avoid trouble was to get along, as he'd have to work there for a long time. If you need something, do it yourself. But if you have any questions, I'm in the next room. Jade pointed to the adjacent room, separated only by a transparent glass window. Maybe he should buy a curtain to install. When Jade left, Kamin sighed at the bad start to the day. He was sent there to replace the previous inspector because the central office thought he was just a young man who had gotten his position too quickly. No one knew how hard he had worked to reach that position. Kamin began inspecting the room to ensure there were no listening devices or cameras installed. In this business, you couldn't trust anything. It was like clear water on the surface, but full of mud underneath. Jade watched the new inspector as he inspected the room for a while before sitting in a chair with a relaxed attitude. He was meticulous. He was about the same age, but had already reached a high position, indicating he had been through a lot. Jade wondered if he had earned his position through merit, luck, or by doing favors for the right people. The documents Kemen needed to review were delivered to him at 10 in the morning. He spent time reading and reviewing everything until noon, when there were 3 knocks on the door before it opened, without waiting for his permission. "Shouldn't you wait for my permission first, Officer Jade? It's fine." Jade stepped back before closing the door and knocking again. Kemen shook his head in frustration before closing the documents. "Come in, that's it. I came to invite the new inspector to lunch. I have work to do. With just those documents, that's not called work. To me, whether it's office work or field work, it's work. Leave your complicated documents and let's do real work." Jade extended the documents toward the person sitting at the desk. Kemen was about to take them, but they were pulled back. "Read them later." Kemen's perfectly shaped eyebrows furrowed at the person who walked away with his hands in his pockets. Kemen had no choice but to follow him. As they passed the officers in the station, everyone greeted the man in front warmly, but still felt tense around him. "Hey, Inspector, are you going to lunch?" "Yes. Going with Officer Jade guarantees you'll eat something delicious. He loves to eat. It's true, especially with drinks. Ouch." "Why are you telling the inspector that?" "The boss will hit you on the head." Kemen watched the 2 officers joke before looking at the man who had walked ahead. "Then I'll take my leave." "You all carry on." "Yes! Yes!" The energetic voices of respect made Kemen feel a little uncomfortable. As in the police department, even though his rank was high, people there always tried to pressure him. "This way." The voice came from the side of the station. When Kemen arrived, he saw Jade on a large black motorcycle. The tall man wore a black helmet and handed a white one to Kemen. "What's this? Are you a real police officer? Don't you even know what a helmet is? I mean, why are you giving it to me? Are we going to solve a case or not? You talk too much. If there were a criminal waiting, they'd have already fled the country." "I brought my car." Kemen pointed to his white Maserati. Jade looked and then showed an irritated face. "If you take that, you won't even make it to the red light before losing me. Get on quickly, I'm hungry and there's work to do. Let's not waste time." Kemen rolled his eyes, put on the helmet, and got on the motorcycle behind Jade. "If you sit so far back, I won't pick you up if you fall. Let's just go." "As you wish." The engine roared before slowly moving out, but once they passed the station, Jade suddenly accelerated, making the wind roar. Kemen, who was sitting without holding on, almost fell backward and grabbed Jade's waist, shouting, "Are you crazy? Did you buy your driver's license? I can't hear you, I can't hear you." Jade shouted against the wind, accelerating more. Kemen had to use both hands to hold onto Jade's waist, while a satisfied smile appeared under his helmet. After 20 minutes, they arrived at a beachfront restaurant. Kemen watched Jade walk into the restaurant, whistling and greeting the staff familiarly. "The usual, officer? The usual. Today I want 2. Have you ever not ordered 2? And who is he?" The restaurant owner, with a robust body, looked at the person still standing in front of the restaurant, with a helmet in hand. "If you prefer to stand there and stare, go ahead." Jade went to pour himself some water before returning to the table and winking at Kemen. "Come in, sit down. What would you like to drink?" Kemen smiled politely at the restaurant owner before sitting at the table with Jade. "Order whatever you want. Everything here is delicious." Jade slid the glass of water he had poured for Kemen. "Consider this a welcome for the new inspector." "Ah, are you the new inspector? Then order whatever you want. This meal is on me." "Thank you. I'll have a seafood broth." "All right, wait a moment." When the restaurant owner left, Kemen looked back at Jade. "Where are the documents you wanted me to see?" "Here." Jade handed the documents in an envelope to Kemen, who frowned as if everything in life were serious. After reading for a while, Kemen looked up and saw Jade watching him with his arms on the table. "When do we start working on the case?" "Tonight, then I'll see you there." "The case is at the club, not in court, so you don't need to dress formally, in case you didn't know. Just because I'm the inspector here today doesn't mean I've been a police officer since yesterday. I know what I should and shouldn't do. I can handle this case alone if you feel uncomfortable working with me. I just want to evaluate the new inspector. I want to know if what they say is true. And what have you heard? That way, I'll know if it's true." Jade smiled before leaning in, and Cayman didn't back away either. They say you're very smart, organized, but also arrogant, stubborn, and self-centered, making it difficult to work in a team. Jade's smile made Cayman feel a pang of discomfort. Now I can confirm two things. 1, you're smart, and 2, you're as charming as they say. Chapter 2. In front of a famous club in the province, people began arriving early in the evening. Cayman was also there, standing, having received the case about half an hour ago. The owner of the navy blue shirt had unbuttoned 2 buttons, revealing his white chest. His black pants matched his dress shoes of the same color. His hair, which was usually combed, now fell naturally, giving him a more youthful appearance. As he raised his watch to check the time, someone approached with a lit cigarette. "I don't smoke," said Cayman, looking at the young man who seemed younger but had a defiant attitude. "Can I have your number? I'm not available." "Not available for what?" "Just give me your number." The young man exhaled smoke in Cayman's face before moving closer and inhaling nicotine again. But just as he was about to exhale the smoke, Cayman raised his hand and forcefully covered the young man's mouth, pushing him against the wall. In an instant, the smoke that was meant to be exhaled was inhaled again, causing the young man to cough and his eyes to fill with tears. Still, he tried to maintain his defiant attitude. "This isn't a place for smoking. There's a sign that says." So, Cayman extinguished the cigarette on the ground, while the young man got up and prepared to attack the new inspector. But before he could do so, a hand wrapped around Cayman's waist to block the blow and then pushed him to the ground. "Who the hell are you?" As he turned to see who had pushed him, the young man was left speechless. "Jade, did you come to have fun today?" "Yes, what's going on here?" Jade ran his hand through his black hair, his tight black shirt revealing his muscles, matching his pants of the same color. He started it. "I just asked for his number." The young man got up and dusted off his jeans, pointing at Cayman with a serious expression. Jade looked at the person in his arms, surprised at how small he was. "And why do you want my guy's number?" At Jade, but before he could deny it, Jade gently. "This is your guy?" "Yes." "Then I won't interfere." "Sorry," said the young man, scared and respectful, making Cayman wonder if Jade was a police officer or a mafia boss. "Tonight, you're mine. If I let you go, people will suspect," Jade whispered intentionally into Cayman's ear. "Tonight, let your waist be my refuge." Both entered without separating an inch. Cayman accepted because he thought it would be more convenient for the case. He didn't want any trouble like the previous incident. Jade, on the other hand, only thought about how fun it was to tease the person in his arms. The famous club, Drink Me, was a well-known club restaurant in the area. Although it was a weekday, there were many people. The interior was divided into 2 floors. The first floor had a bar, many tables, and a stage for the band. The second floor was a mezzanine from which you could see below. In addition to a variety of alcoholic drinks, they also served food. There was a clearly marked smoking area outside, so the interior wasn't suffocating. People walked back and forth, some drunk, almost bumping into Cayman. But thanks to the strong arm around his waist, he wasn't knocked over. Both sat at a table not too far from the bar, but discreet enough. Once seated, Cayman immediately moved away from Jade. "Relax. What do you want to drink?" Jade asked calmly, leaning back on the red velvet sofa and looking at Cayman beside him. "I'm working." "As you wish." Jade poured himself his favorite drink and looked around without focusing on anything in particular. "Are you sure it's today?" "That's what the source reported. The documents don't specify the time." "Do you know what time it is?" "Why? Do you have to go to bed before 9? Jade raised his glass and smiled, making Cayman look at him with disgust. "Can you stop bothering me for a minute?" "I can stop, but I won't. Any problem?" Cayman rolled his eyes and sighed. If this was only the first day, he didn't know what the future would be like. "Stop sitting so straight with your hands on your knees and looking around. You look like a 'I'm a police officer' sign." "And what should I do? Drink while working? Act casually? The ones coming to deliver drugs here aren't locals. They don't know who's a police officer. But your suspicious attitude will make them doubt." Jade grabbed Cayman and sat him on his lap before wrapping an arm around his waist. The more Cayman tried to struggle, the tighter the arms around him became. "Stay still. They're already here," said Jade as he raised his glass of liquor, not taking his eyes off the group of people entering. They were dressed like ordinary tourists, but each carried a black bag in their hand. He had received a report from an undercover agent about where today's meeting would take place. The table was only 2 tables away from them, and they would have to pass their table first, so Jade chose that table. "Damn it, Jade." "What? Do you see the guy in the white Hawaiian shirt? He's the owner of a local cattle farm. He knows I'm a police officer." Jade considered using the menu to cover his face, but before he could do so, the person on his lap had already cupped his face and leaned in so close that he could feel his warm breath and the tip of his nose. "This method is quite interesting. Stay quiet You're not covering me completely, Jade joked, pulling Kamin's waist closer. Better now? Shut up, Jade. Kamin stiffened, their faces inches apart. If he moved too much, it would be a mistake. Are they gone? No, replied Jade, looking past Kamin's charming face and seeing that the drug traffickers had already sat down. If you're lying to me, I'll transfer you. Abuse of power, huh? That's my business. Kamin looked behind him and saw the suspects sitting at their table. He stood up, pushing Jade's ribs with surprising force. Ouch! That hurts. Focus on them. I'm calling for backup, said Kamin, standing up and heading to the bathroom to make the call. This case involved catching drug traffickers and intermediaries selling drugs to locals. Previously, no one could act because the suspects always escaped the raids. Now, with a new inspector and a raid planned close to success, it was clear why they had failed before. Sergeant, prepare the team. Wait for Jade's signal and then move in. Understood. When the conversation ended, a young man entered. He was about 185 centimeters tall, wearing a white shirt in earthy tones, with smoky gray hair and a charming dimple on his cheek. Kamin didn't pay much attention. He chose to wash his hands to avoid raising suspicions. After finishing, he went out the door, but upon opening it, he saw one of the drug cartel's henchmen about to enter. He didn't know if they were coming to the bathroom by chance or because they noticed something, but Kamin decided to go back inside and dragged a young man who knew nothing into the bathroom to avoid any unexpected incidents. Wait here, said a new voice, making Kamin even more alert and raising his hand to cover the young man's mouth. The boy he had dragged into the bathroom looked at his hand and frowned, making Kamin feel strangely familiar with his attitude. The sound of someone relieving themselves and then the flush of a toilet from another stall was heard. After that, the sound of a door opening and closing allowed Kamin to release the young man from his grip. What's going on? Asked the boy. A little hiccup, replied Kamin, trying to unlock the bathroom door, but the young man stopped him. I need a better explanation than a little hiccup. You dragged me into the bathroom without my consent, said the boy, crossing his arms and looking at him seriously. I let you go, didn't I? Replied Kamin, rolling his eyes. But I didn't consent in the first place. I could report you, said the boy, still serious, escaping someone. Happy now? Said Kamin. Escaping who? Asked the boy. Someone I broke up with. I don't want to see him. Now go, I have things to do, said Kamin. But instead of leaving, the boy smiled, showing a dimple on his right cheek. So you're running away? Asked the boy. The phone in Kamin's pocket rang. It was a call from his team waiting outside. He had to hurry. Move, said Kamin, pushing the boy aside before opening the door and running out. The boy stayed smiling behind him. The black phone in the boy's pocket rang, and he answered it without looking. Where are you, Jay? Come back to the table right now, said a voice on the other end of the line. Yes, I'm coming. I found something interesting in the bathroom, replied Jay. No, you can't stay out today. Tomorrow is the last day of initiation, said his friend. I know, replied Jay, regretting not asking for the other guy's contact, but at least he had found something cute to brighten his night. When Kamin returned to the table, he saw a pair of black eyes staring at him. Upon arrival, he was met with a stern look, just as he expected. I only ordered the subordinates to prepare. Why does it take so long to talk? From now on, it will be difficult to work, don't you think? Have they finished exchanging? Kamin decided to ignore the sarcasm and pulled out his gun when he saw the officers infiltrating the place and starting to escort the guests out. All set, said Jade, drinking the last sip of brandy before standing up to prepare for the raid. They separated. Jade surrounded the drug trafficker while Kamin positioned himself behind the distributor's chair. Both looked at each other before giving the signal to the officers in the area. You're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute drugs, said Kamin, aiming his gun at the criminal's head, who raised his hands. The distributor, who was about to pull out his weapon, stopped when he felt the cold barrel on his temple. Drop the weapon, said Kamin firmly, pressing the gun against the distributor's head, who tilted his head slightly. All the subordinates trying to help their boss were surrounded by the officers. This capture would lead to further progress in the case of other distributors in the future. This was the new Inspector Kamin's first case. Take them all to the station. Understood, replied one of the officers. As the mission ended, Kamin secured his gun and put it away. He had to rewrite the case report and proceed with the detention, but a hand on his shoulder stopped him. What's wrong? The case is over. Catching them doesn't mean it's over. It's your first case. Aren't you going to celebrate? I have to keep working, said Kamin. Jade offered him a glass of brandy that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Kamin frowned before clinking glasses and drinking it all in one go. Consider this an honor for drinking with me. Then I'll accompany you to work, said Jade. Kamin looked at him before taking another glass and drinking it all. At least, Jade had helped a lot in this case. Happy now? Yes, I'm happy. As they left, Kamin grabbed Jade's arm. Are you going back on the bike? Or do you prefer I carry you in my arms? I only drank one glass, less than the other times. Leave the car here. Let's take mine, said Jade, smiling before tossing the keys to a subordinate who approached. Lieutenant, take the car to the station. Why don't you drive it yourself, Captain? The new inspector invited me to go with him, said Jade, resting his arm on Kamin's shoulder again. But this time, Kamin kicked him in the shin, forcing him to let go. See you in the car, said Kamin, walking toward the car without paying attention to Jade, who was rubbing his shin. Captain, do I really have to take your bike? I only drank one glass. Are you drunk? Only 3. Ah, so you're not drunk. Are you pretending? Ken, sorry. What do we do then? Go back with the inspector. Yes, let's get things in order. In order? He kicked you a moment ago and you screamed. Jade glanced at his subordinate, who laughed and started his bike, assuring that he wouldn't crash it into the ground or any poles. Jade got into the luxury car he had seen at the station earlier and sat in the passenger seat. He leaned toward Kamin until their noses almost touched. His brown eyes looked at him without wavering, with a hint of annoyance. What are you going to do? What do you expect a drunk person to do? If you keep playing around, I'll leave you in the middle of the road. You won't, said Jade, smiling and showing a dimple on his right cheek, a smile that Kamin found strangely familiar. The cold barrel of the gun pointing at his head made Jade laugh before raising his hands in surrender and buckling Kamin's seatbelt. Driving without a seatbelt is dangerous. I just want to help you. I hope you work with the same efficiency as you talk. What Jade discovered that night about the new inspector was that he worked with the same precision he had heard about, and his brown eyes shone in a captivating way.